This is the Marketing Made Easy for HR Consultants podcast, a show to help independent UK-based HR consultants get a pipeline of perfect fit, high-paying clients without expensive adverts, time-consuming social media activities, or energy-sapping and monotonous networking meetings. I'm your host, Nick Paninsky, author of How to Land Your Dream Client, a book which explains everything you need to know to get every sale and client you ever want. And if that sounds interesting, then make sure to grab your copy from the influential consultant website today. That being said, let's get into today's show.
Hello there, and welcome back to another episode of Marketing Made Easy for HR Consultants with me, Nick Paninsky. Today we are joined by Zoe McKeown. Zoe is a Facebook group expert extraordinaire. Hello, Zoe. Thanks for joining us.
Hi. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, no problem. Obviously, we met. I say obviously for those listening along, they don't know how we met, but you and I know how we met. We met in the Atomicon Facebook group.
Yes, and that is, or we can talk about that later, but that is a good example of why Facebook groups work, because I think somebody else tagged me to say, so not only are they good places for you to have your own Facebook group, but they are good places for you to hang out in, because then if you get known as somebody who is the go-to for that thing, then you might get tagged by somebody. So, you know, you're starting your referrals.
Yes.
Facebook group.
Clever. I like that. So Zoe and I didn't meet last year at Atomicon, but we are in the Atomicon Facebook group, and I posted and said, is anyone an expert on Facebook groups? Because this is something that I think my audience should know about. It's not something I'm an expert on. So somebody tagged you, Zoe, and here you are. So yes, Zoe, have you got, you work in marketing, have you got your 1 minute elevator pitch ready? Introduce yourself.
Yeah, so I do help people grow a Facebook group. I initially started as a community manager. A community manager is somebody who manages a community for somebody else online, often in a Facebook group, not always. It could be on another channel, on another platform, but you look after the people in there as a community and make sure that everybody's heard, that it's, the rules are followed and all of that kind of stuff. So that's where I started. And then I realized that actually I was quite good at running the groups and that I could teach what I knew about how to run a group to other people, which is often the way we go. I used to be a secondary school teacher. So
wow.
The two things. So I left teaching and then started selling courses in Facebook groups and then got good at that. And then the two things have kind of crossed over. So I now teach people how to start and run their own Facebook groups and how to manage other people's groups, and also the difference and how to run a free group or a paid version of a community, because you might have both.
Excellent. Love it. Not that I'm going to go too far down this line, but I also used to be a teacher, so we'll have to catch up about that afterwards just to compare notes. Yeah. But anyway, so let's talk Facebook groups. Let's talk about, building your audience, getting them engaged, why people should think about doing it, how they then go about to monetize it. And then, we'll end up with, if you want to see any more information, then you can share one of your links. Does that sound okay?
Yeah, perfect.
Excellent. Okay, so I've got a Facebook group. You've got a Facebook group. Atomicon have a Facebook group. So, they're very popular. So explain for us, Zoe, what is, in your eyes, what is a good Facebook group for someone to have?
Yeah, so I was going to say Atomicon is a good example, because what you're really doing is creating a space that people want to hang out in. People, we might talk about this later with the pitfalls of Facebook. But people think they need to create a Facebook group that gives constant flow of information about their thing. So about HR, that you'd be always talking about HR, always posting a tip on the latest this or that, or giving advice or helping or supporting people. People often say to me, but I started this group so people think I'm going to help and support them in there. Well, yeah, you are, but you don't want to be giving everything away for free. And really all you're doing is creating a space that like-minded people want to hang out in. That's it. It shouldn't go much beyond that. Then you have the opportunity, once you've created this space, that they like hanging out with you and the other people, and that's important too. They need to feel, the best groups feel an affinity for the others in the group as well, not just in there for you. And that's where the word community comes in. Because they'll stay for you, they might stay for a few months. For everybody else, there's much more longevity in that. And again, Atomicon is a great example of that, because there's lots of other people you're sharing and giving you ideas and tips and helping and supporting you on your journey. And even if it's just you wanted something, someone to come on your podcast, whatever it is, there's a bank of people in there who are going to respond and help you. You trust them because they're similar people that have come together through this bond of the Atomicon umbrella.
Got you. I like it. I like the way that you talk about it being a community as well, rather than a group, because I think to me, like, a group suggests there's no commonality. It's just a group. I like to use the word team, but I think, there's a common goal, but I think community works just as well. And if anything's probably better than team.
I think you're right. Facebook groups to me are those kind of, which I'm not really in and I'm not a massive fan of, those sort of village ones where everybody's moaning about, how much dog poo there is on the
amazing
pavement, and somebody's, that's a group to me. Obviously they are called Facebook groups, but I think we want them to be more a community. If you can create something that is more a community, you get longevity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
People will stay longer and are intrigued by you and your journey, and they want to follow along. We want to create that space. So they shouldn't feel like they're in there. They have a look round, they see everything, they know what's going on. And then, okay, I've checked it out and now I'll move on to something else. That's not what we want. We want them to become part of it and feel like they associate with it.
Love it. Okay. So I do want to know how to facilitate that community without giving away, all the information, which is, I think, what you spoke about earlier, which is, I think, what people think that they need to do in their community. But before I do that, let's talk about why a HR consultant or any kind of service provider, really, why they should consider setting up their very own Facebook group, i.e. Facebook community.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. And that is always where I would start, because if you don't have a really clear purpose for why you're doing it, it won't work. If you just do it I'll just see if it works, I'll just gather a load of people together. I've heard Facebook groups are great. If you're a bit wishy-washy about it, what will happen is you'll just end up putting posts in. Some people will chat, some people won't. You don't really know what to do. It leads nowhere and it just drains the life out of you. And in the end, it makes you feel that you're not doing a good job, that you're not good at your business. It can really have an adverse effect, a Facebook group, when it's not working. So set out with a really clear purpose. The purpose could be, one of the best purposes is to grow your email list.
Yeah.
Your Facebook group is your freebie lead magnet funnel. It is the start of that. So when they join your group, they get 3 questions. One of them will be, do you want my download, or do you want to give me your email address and I can send you, the newsletter or whatever. So that is a really clear purpose for having a Facebook group. I need more people on my email list. You give them the link to join the group, they give you the email list. So it works exactly the same way as a download or a freebie. You have to tease them with what happens in that group, that they want to be in there, the same as you do with a download, a freebie. However, you get people on your email list now. A Facebook group works exactly the same way to get people. So that's a really good reason to have it. So don't miss out on getting email addresses. The second one is really clear targets. I need 3 discovery calls a month and I need to get them through that group. If you set out with really clear targets like that for your group, you'll do it. You'll keep posting, you'll keep chatting, You will keep going till you find those people. You'll think, well, I've got 2 calls this month. I need, and then you can start looking at the stats, and that's what you should do. And when I had my membership, I knew that for every 100 members, I would have 10 in my paid group. So if I wanted another 10, I'd get another 100. It worked up to the 1,000. It doesn't work the same now, because once your group gets big, it gets harder. The reach is diluted and it gets much harder. But in the beginning, I knew that if I hustled to get another 100 in, I could have another, and so you should work your group like that. It is a business activity.
It's a lead gen method, really.
Yeah, you must see it as a business activity. Most people do not see it they see it as an aside. As a I've got to post something in my Facebook group. I've got to chat. What am I going to put in my Facebook group? Most people see it as a content drain. If you set really clear targets, you need it to give you 3 discovery calls a month, then you work to that. And when you see the reward of that, I've got this group and I do get 3 discovery calls, or if I get another 100 people, might get 4 in a month. Then
it becomes easier to want to do it, right? Because there's a reward.
Yes. You will not get back what you want from your group unless you go and get it.
Yeah. So I love that though. Like when you say about getting discovery calls, let me just talk about that briefly, because that is what we're all looking for, right? As service providers, as business owners, as HR consultants. That's what we're in it for. Lead gen. That's what I say to my clients, right? So when you say about getting 3 discovery calls a month or whatever it was, the example that you put, is that because you put them onto your mailing list, or is that, and then you monetize it?
No.
You get them through through the actual group? They DM you and say...
Everything I do is through the group. I mean, your mailing list is brilliant, but everything groups are not very passive. They shouldn't be passive. And this is where the value comes. So the distinction between the content that you post and you being in there present and chatting and getting to know people. If you're in your group, so the content is the catalyst for anything, because you can talk about anything in your group. It really doesn't matter. There are no rules. I'm not going to content. I really don't believe in content. I'm not going to tell you to have a content planner. I'm not going to tell you to, just get some stuff in there that opens up a discussion about anything. It can be about anything you like. I put you put a thing in about,
could I post about Trump then, for example? Because that's obviously huge news, right?
Yes, if you'd like to do that and open up that can of worms, absolutely do that. Because in your group, it's anything to get engagement and keep them interested and get them knowing you better, understanding you better. That's what it's all about. But also creating a safe place where they can join in the discussion if they want to. They already know, if they are in your group, they already know what you do.
Yes.
So we don't need to bang on about that all the time. And if we do bang on about that all the time, what we actually do is create a really boring group. Now, I'm not going to be mean, but if you talk about HR all the time, after 2 weeks, I'm going to be like, okay, I know what Nick does now. I know he does and helps people with their HR business. I've got that. And they decide that they know what's going on. They've seen enough. And I'll come back in 3 months' time when I need Nick. They don't, because the algorithm doesn't help them. They take a right dip. They can't remember the name of your group and they don't come back. So what we need are all of the other things that make Nick the brilliant person they want to work with and the person they want to give money to, by sharing all the other bits of you that makes them go, oh God, yeah, Nick said that thing about, and they're the bits they remember. They probably won't remember the HR stuff, but they will remember the Donald Trump. They will remember that they've seen it in my fridge. They will remember me talking about my granny drinking Mellobird's coffee. Those things are the connections that they do remember and that makes your group memorable. Yes, there needs to be a thread of HR and you and your business. But if you're walking the walk, talking the talk, and you are running this business that you tell people you're running, that will naturally come out in your daily content anyway. You can't be having a business and having a Facebook group sort of based around that business and it not to seep in. It doesn't, it almost, you need to reverse it. It's like breathing. Like if you do one bit, the other will come. If you're in your group posting, you can post about anything. Honestly, you can. You just want to get engagement. And then what happens is it's up to you to get those conversations to where you need them to go. And this is the bit. So anybody can start a group. Anybody can put content in there. We all know how that works. You put your content in there. Not everybody's going to get engagement. And usually that's because they don't vary the content enough. The content is very samey, goes along a thread. As I said, people decide, yeah, and then they move on. We need a variety of content. We need people to think that there's more to come, things happening in the future. We need them to be interested, to like you, to like the other people in there. We need them to have things that they can easily reply to you on, really quick scroll stopper content. Anyway, all of those things around content. But ultimately, we as the business owner need to make some money from this group.
Got you. Okay.
That's it. That is our only. So if anybody says to me, they want a group, what do you want to grow? Who do you want? Why do you want a group? I want to grow my audience and nurture them. That to me is never going to work. I call it procrastinating, because what is nurturing? I mean, honestly, what is nurturing? Like I don't know what you're doing. I mean, you're just kicking it down the line. You're just having a chat.
People are too nice. That's what they think they're doing. They think they're building a relationship, when in reality there needs to be some sort of strategic conversation that moves them from knowing you to giving you money.
Exactly. And this is what you do in front of everybody. No sleight of hand. You do it in front of everybody in your Facebook group really clearly. And if you do that, you show a huge confidence in your own work, which is really powerful. If you're afraid to say in your own group, in front of everybody else, in a thread of comments, you absolutely need my XYZ thing. Do you want the link? I really think after the conversation we've just had, this would help you. If you're afraid to say that, you signal that you're a little bit like nervous and uncomfortable about your own offers.
Got
So
you.
a group.
So this is kind of like an email list, but a little bit different, because you actually you own it. I mean, the only difficulty would be if Zuckerberg clicks his fingers and removes you from Facebook, then you're a bit buggered.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're never going to own it.
It's a better version of LinkedIn then, isn't it? Is that? Because if I post on LinkedIn and get like 1 impression, 20 impressions, whatever, then it was a waste of time. But if I'm in my Facebook group, which is more engaged.
Yes. So the thing about a Facebook group is it's like you ring fence that warm audience, hopefully. But you then don't want them to sit there. You don't want them to have gone in like this cul-de-sac where they just sit. You want them actually want a flow. You want people to come and go. You want people to come in, chat, engage, be in the community, and actually decide, I maybe don't need this thing and I'm going to move on. You need a flow of people to keep it alive, but also for you to have new people to sell to.
Growing a HR consultancy can be incredibly lonely. Your friends and family pay polite attention, but they don't really get it. And the fear of where the next client is coming from can be incredibly daunting when you've got mouths to feed and a mortgage to pay. All in all, becoming self-employed wasn't quite as fun and easy as you thought it'd be. And I get it, trust me. That's why I've set up the HR Business Success Squad, and I'm inviting you along to grab one of the limited spaces. In the squad, the first thing we do is get laser focused on where you want your business to get to and how you're going to get there. From there, it's all about making progress with one-to-ones, fun competitions, trainings, Q&As, and interacting with a fantastic group of people who are in the same boat as you. They get what you're going through and what you're trying to achieve because they're on the same path as you, so you can hold each other to account. And the best part? There's no contract. The HR Business Success Squad is a monthly pay-as-you-go membership. You can come and go as you please. If it's not for you, you're free to leave. No hard feelings, no cancellation charges, and no early exit fees. So if you're ready to create a real plan for growth with real support and people alongside you to cheer you along as you make progress towards your business goals, then visit the Influential Consultant website today and join the HR Business Success Squad.
Okay, like it. Okay, so new people to sell to, i.e., I've got the group, the Facebook group, and it's Marketing Made Easy for HR Consultants, right? So the HR consultants are in there. If the engagement was immense in the Facebook group, then other HR consultants would see it in their feed and they'd want to join it. Or, Facebook would suggest them joining it.
Yes.
It's not private. I mean, it's private, but not private. It's not hidden.
Yeah, possibly they would see it come up as a suggested group.
Yeah.
If the group gets busy, that will happen. Your group, anyone's group, is not audience growth. It's a place for sales. Outside of the group is where you do your audience growth. So people that have a group will often say to me, I need more, I need new people, I need more sort of flow in my business. And I'll be like, well, then you've got to concentrate outside the Facebook group, because to get new people in, you have to be more visible outside, because obviously everything in the Facebook group is closed. So only people already in there can see it. If you want to convert people that are already warm, then you go to your Facebook group. If you want new people, you've got to go and start hustling outside of your Facebook group to get them in.
You've got, yeah. Okay. So I guess that's really good. I like that. That is how to grow the group, in effect, is hustle like that.
Post on your profile.
Yeah. Because the thing that I focus on more than, all my LinkedIn cover photo, my Facebook group cover photo, my Facebook profile cover photo, get my book. Like I'm less worried about the Facebook group because I want people to go into my funnel through my book.
Yep.
It's for those listening along, you should get a copy of my book. It's brilliant. But let me go back to being serious, right? So what would, obviously you said you can post about anything, right? So before we move on to the pitfalls of a Facebook group, 5 things that you would suggest somebody posts in their Facebook group that isn't like whatever the Facebook group was created for, i.e. mine is for marketing for HR consultants. So what should I post that isn't marketing for HR consultants?
So people will talk about things that are secondary and tertiary messaging. So I once signed up for somebody's program. I was in her group and I'd been in there for a little while, but I don't know, I hadn't sort of found my feet in it. And then she started talking about this chain of hotels that I'd been in once. And, and I was like, oh, I love those hotels. They're called the Pig. And I was like, oh, I've eaten in there once. They're great. Like she might be my type of person. And then you find those connections and then the algorithm does the rest. So it's something that will connect you. So if you're somebody that loves coffee and you drink coffee a lot and you go to coffee places, or you're a connoisseur of something, or you love ice hockey or whatever it is, dogs,
right,
that should be included in there. They should know and understand that about you. Because those are the things that connect you and make the conversations. And I prefer to think about content as conversation starters. I think it helps. The word content is quite scary and is quite negative. Most of the time I find people don't like it. It's a chore. The word content is it just makes people go, ugh, content. But if you think of it as conversation starters, also your content should. So another thing to post about is something that you would like their help with. Could you help me with that? Like such and such is happening at the weekend and I really don't know where to start, or I need a new name for this new thing I've got coming up. These are the 3 things. Is there anything, can you help me? They
give
love
them a bit of ownership.
Yes, that really helps build a community. That really that you trust their opinion too is really useful. That when you're struggling for something yourself that's going on in your business, in your mind, where would you go? Well, to your group, to your community. Of course, they're your people. You would definitely ask them. So that could be another reason to have a group, actually. It's a really useful way to test messaging, your offers, get into conversations with people and find out what they actually want, to trial stuff. All of that is a great reason to have a group. Other things that you should talk about are things that matter to you. So you talked about Donald Trump, but your values, things which are about you, the person, are really important. Not so much what you offer. Those things will come. Those things will be in there. Those things should be posted about. People need to be told. But those are things that they'll just read and move on from. Those are not things that are going to get engagement. So if you post about your offers, you post about HR, you post about something, they're going to read it, but they're not going to get involved in a really deep conversation that's going to get the algorithm and the engagement going. But if you talk about, or you share, the fact that your dog died, or the fact that you've booked a holiday, and has anybody got any ideas for where I should go in, I'm going to Vietnam, anybody got any really good places I should stop off at? They'll join in those things with you, and that helps to boost the engagement. But what we want is things that are real.
Yeah.
Genuinely, you are going on holiday to Vietnam. Genuinely, your dog did die. Genuinely, because when you share those things genuinely, and they're not pre-scheduled, about 5 or 6 years ago, certainly pre-COVID and just before Black Lives Matter, I could schedule stuff in people's groups for months in advance. Nobody worried, nobody cared. Facebook groups worked very differently. A lot of people got tripped up with Black Lives Matter, didn't change their voice in their group, didn't react to it, had stuff pre-scheduled. It did. Some big people got it, had to close their groups down because people were just like, why have you not mentioned this? Why are you just pretending this massive thing is happening? And, and the same with COVID, because things were changing weekly, we get our updates, you could no longer schedule stuff. So people have got much more aware of, they want to know that you're there with them. Really?
So we should be posting about current affairs stuff then. So if I could post about, I'm in Manchester, I went into the city centre on Saturday, it was people deep. Christmas markets, yay or nay?
Christmas markets, yeah. And you can
I think they're rubbish.
And then you need to include people in the conversation by saying, I think they're rubbish. What do you think? Or they're only good for the roasted chestnuts. Other than that, I'm not going near a Christmas market, if that's your thing. I'm not saying it is, but you know what I mean? So create something that's real.
Roasted chestnuts. Been a while since you were at a Christmas market. You're so fat now. You're so rubbish.
You're right. I'm not a fan either. Everything's too blooming expensive. They probably charge you to go in, do they?
Pardon? Well, listen, I'm not going anywhere near it. There was a news report the other day. It was £10 for a bit of sausage and bread. I'm not having that. £10 most for that.
Right. So you post that in your group, and then come back and tell me if that was the best post you've ever posted and got the most engagement.
I bet it does as well, because no one really cares about the marketing stuff. If they were bothered, they'd come and listen to the podcast.
Yeah. And they're going to love it. And they're all going to chat. And then you're going to go, yeah, okay, well, that's fine, Zoe. So everyone chatted. And then what did I do?
Yeah.
You chat back. Because if this is the other thing you need to remember, if you are going to start a group, is it isn't passive. You do have to chat back to people. You do have to get engaged in conversation with them. You do have to be interested in these people. You do have to see them as real people, have a real conversation with them and care. So, you get involved in a conversation, you put your sausage and bread one up. And if people are listening to this, what they should do is you're going to put this post up, and then they should go to your group and check out how it did. £10 for a sausage and a bit of bread. So
it's mental.
And it's gonna.
So I guess my question is, at what point do I then monetize it? Because I can post about sausage and bread.
Yeah, straight away. You monetize it as soon as you can.
Let's case study this. Let's go with it, Zoe. Let's go off script. Let's go off piste.
Exactly. We post about our sausage and bread and £10, and I'm not paying that. And who else would? And then you get involved in a conversation with someone, and you someone's going to say, "You're absolutely right. The world's gone mad." Stuff like that. And so then you say, have you got a Christmas market near you or whatever? The first little bit is small talk. The first reply is small talk, or, yeah, maybe you didn't want a sausage, but, you should see the price of the burgers or the jacket potato or whatever it is. Who loves a
Sure.
Christmas? You do your Christmas market chat. Then your second thing is starting to think, okay, this conversation has to come back round to HR. So you want to find
Marketing
out.
for HR. Yeah.
Yeah, marketing for HR. So we want to find out something that's going to get us a step closer to what it is that they need from us. So you talked about Manchester. So you might say, oh, this was in Manchester. Where are you? They say where they are. So you're finding out little bits of information about them. And then you say, how long have you been out of HR is the third one. So the third one is really bringing it back to, or are you still in HR, or how long have you started your own business? And so the third question, you absolutely bring it back to your niche.
Okay.
We've only got that. That's all we've got. So the first one is your small talk. Second one is a step closer. And the third one, when you get really good at this, you can almost have not standard responses, but questions that would help you to understand if that person is a client for you. So, and everybody can do this. What would be, for example, 3 questions that were going to help you to know if that person needed one of your services?
I mean, listen, I can go into people's DMs and LinkedIn and ask these questions. So I know these questions. Are you saying I should have these publicly?
Yes, because if you go into their DMs, you're not boosting your algorithm.
No, I'm not. But I mean, let's say, for example, one of the key questions that I ask is, what is the most difficult bit about your business right now? If I could come and solve one problem for your business right now, what would it be?
Yeah.
But are these people going to share this information publicly?
Did they reply? Yeah.
Hit and miss on LinkedIn, hit and miss. I always have permission to ask them.
In Facebook, you would definitely open up a conversation. Everybody else is going to read them. Everybody's going to know what you're doing.
Yes.
And all you're going to do is ask more questions.
And like if I said to them, like, how was the cash flow with your business right now? They're not going to answer that. So I guess you got to be sensible, right?
You've got to be sensible, but they might. But you would probably not put the word cash flow in, because Facebook might not like that anyway. But you might say, and have you, how's things going? Like, are you feeling like you're wading through treacle, or have you got a good flow of clients? So we just find different ways to, and I find that kind of conversation very natural. Some people don't in Facebook. At a point, you decide, it's entirely up to you what your sales process is, that this is crossing into a sales, like I see potential in this person.
Yeah.
And then if you want, you go to your DMs, if you prefer that. It's entirely, I'm not going to say don't use your DMs, but if you want your group to survive and thrive, you should be as active as you can in there. It shows them that you trust them. It's a closed group. You should be able to trust each other. It shows them they're special to you. They mean something. They're a group of people that you've gathered together. You want to give this value, but you're not ever going to answer their questions in there, because you can't, because, there's a whole world of things it could be if somebody's struggling with their cash flow. But you want to find out more about them, and you want to ask them more questions. And with me, it will be like, so the sausage thing. And then I say, mine was in Manchester. Where do you live, or whatever? And they'll say wherever they live. And I'll say, do you work from home? How long have you had this business? How's your Facebook group going? People are going, but that's weird. It's not weird. They're in a group where they've joined because they want to know about Facebook groups. If the owner of that group, you're in the Atomicron group or another group, if the owner of that group comes and wants to have a conversation with you about your business, you feel special and valued. You don't feel, this is weird. Why is she suddenly talking about Facebook groups? Well, because this is, I'm running a business, and let's, can I help you? And then they'll say,
that makes sense, because you are the expert in their eyes, right?
Yes, and that's where the value comes.
Yeah.
The value comes in you showing up, being there for them, and directing them to something that will help them. And most of the time, if you can, that's something that's going to help them might be something that's going to lead to a paid service of yours. It might be a download. It might be a podcast episode you lead them to. It might be a freebie. It might be a video you've seen. It might be a link to something else you've got. It might be a link to a discovery call. But that's good community managing. Literally, you are managing,
They're expressing that they have a need, you have used some sort of situation from your real life to begin a conversation with them. Once you start that conversation, you've moved it to their life, to their business. And once they've shared that they have an issue, you are then going to present a solution to them.
Perfect. That's it. And the segue is that you must. So people say, oh, I don't want to drop links in my group. Well, it only feels weird to drop links or to tell people about a service or to give them if you've missed the segue, if you've missed the chat and you've no idea whether this person is struggling with something you can help them with. But when you've had a conversation, it's weird.
Like a human being.
Hanging.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Most people don't have time for that bit.
No, I like it. Okay, that is solid. So I guess the only question now would be, I've got 2 questions left. So what would be pitfalls, and then where would people go to find out more about you, about your stuff? So pitfalls are definitely posting too much around your niche and your business, because that's what you've trained for. That's what you're the expert in. That's what you feel really confident talking about. And that's what you think people have joined for. Yeah.
You get in your head, I can only talk about HR. I can only talk about HR. It's all that. It's what I know. It's what they came for. No, it's about them getting to know you and feeling like they're in a place where everybody feels the same. So if they're in a place where everybody is struggling, like yours, with marketing their HR business, you almost don't need to talk about it because you all know why you're there. You are going to have some posts around it. Of course, you're going to have some posts around it. But what you want is people to feel like they can open up. And, I was a teacher, you were a teacher. A good way, and Facebook groups work brilliant. They work just like a classroom. Imagine them like a classroom. They work exactly the same. You've got some kids that dominate the conversation, some that are looking out of the window that you need to attract their attention, some that if you talk off topic will suddenly go, oh, blimey, she's talking about dinosaurs. I'm in. I thought this was a maths lesson, but I'm in if she's going to talk about dinosaurs, and then the dinosaurs leads to maths. I wasn't a maths teacher, but it works exactly the same. And so you want people to take notice. So use all those teacher tricks to get people to take notice. Do not just go to the board. That's an old reference. There's no board anymore. And talk maths for 40 minutes and not look at them and not connect to them and not build a relationship. That will kill your group like it will kill a maths
lesson. So interesting. Because, listen, I was at school, you were at school, I was at school for 5 years. There is literally about 2 lessons that I remember. One was a guy called Mr. Wheeler, sat down at the front of our class and literally talked about his life for 45 minutes. We just sat there and asked him questions, found out who he was. That was one of the best lessons of my life.
Of course. Always.
Was his wife. It was our French teacher. She came in to tell us about when the Irondale got bombed. She was in Manchester at the time.
Yeah. And you want your group to be memorable because it stands out, because people remember stuff. People still remember stuff I talked about. I've done stuff lives. I've cried on a live before, not meaning to, and then suddenly started talking about the war in Ukraine and different things. Just when you feel the connection to your group, it starts to come together. So if you're not feeling that connection and it's feeling a bit cold, then you need to change it up. So the pitfall is to keep it very work orientated, and that's because that's your safe place.
Yeah,
it's scary to go into your own world. It's really scary to open up about some of that stuff.
Love it. Fair play. Okay.
And then and then the other thing is to be proactive. A Facebook group is not sales. It's marketing. It's big marketing, but it's not sales. The sales has to happen by you in the conversation, or directing them through a discovery call, or doing some kind of launch or something around selling that product for 7 days or whatever it is. You need another sales process. Your Facebook group is purely marketing and advertising. You have to take the sale and sell still.
Yes. Yeah, I like that. Fair enough. I appreciate that, Zoe. So, listen, where would somebody go to find out more about you and how to grow and then monetize their Facebook group?
Yeah, you can search my name on Facebook, Zoe McKeown. You will find me, and I have my own Facebook group called Growing and Engaged Online Community. I had to take the Facebook out of it because Facebook don't like that bit, but you should find me. If you can find my name, we should connect on Facebook.
Perfect. Okay. It's interesting. Your name, you say McKeown. I look at it, I see McKeown. You remember the football player, McKeown?
Yeah. You know what? It's because it's my married name. So I care a bit less. Like, it doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, McKeown. Doesn't matter.
I think it's probably Irish, and
Yeah.
I don't speak with an Irish accent. So,
because when I say McKeown, I'm thinking of McKeown's Lager, who used to sponsor Blackburn Rovers. And
yeah.
that's spelled very different to your name, but
Yeah.
there you go. For those listening along at home, McKeown, McKeown. Zoe McKeown. I'll put a link in the show notes anyway.
Thank you.
Perfect. Okay. Well, thank you for joining us. I was just wondering about if you were to say one tip, what would it be? Throw away.
For your group, get involved in the conversations.
Love it.
Liking and hearting is not enough for the algorithm. Actually have a conversation. Ask more questions. So reply and ask another question. Always. Do you do that, Nick?
There's always got to be a call to action. Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Excellent. Well, thank you for joining us today, Zoe. That was really very interesting. I am going to go and post about a sausage in a bread bath for a tenner.
Let me know. Yeah.
Hey, you should do it too. We'll have a little competition.
Okay.
So you get
All right, I'll
to
do
see
it.
what happens. I love
Yeah.
it. All right,
right.
then. Well, thank you for joining us. And thank you for those listening along at home. As ever, get marketing, because without marketing, there's no sales. And without sales, there's no business. So get marketing. Bye for now.
Hey there, and thanks for listening to the Marketing Made Easy for HR Consultants podcast. If you've enjoyed the show, then please consider taking a minute to help us grow by sharing the episode with a friend or colleague, or by leaving a positive review on podchaser.com. And make sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the upcoming episodes if you haven't done so already. I've been your host, Nick Kaminsky, and if you've got any questions or you want to know more about today's topic, then feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'd be delighted to hear from you. See you next time.